Hey my dudes, it's Kaitlyn, and today we are doing such an exciting video. We are going to be talking about daily journaling, how to daily journal, how to get in the habit of daily journaling, and why I daily journal. I'm so insanely passionate about this topic. It is one of my life passions, I guess you could say. I daily journal, as it would sound, every single day. So this video is going to be separated into parts, and I just want to give you guys a rundown of what these parts are going to be so you know what to expect. Why daily journal, the first steps to daily journaling, how to daily journal, supplies that I use personally, tips, tricks, and thoughts, and then I'm going to answer some questions at the end from Instagram that you guys asked. So if you are one of those people who wants to know everything about daily journaling, definitely stay till the end, and I might even answer one of your questions from Instagram. Before we jump into today's video, just make sure you check out the socials down below if you want to keep up with me, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I do lifestyle, college videos, and a lot of stuff about journaling and art journaling and things like that, so stay tuned for all of that. And with all of this being said, finally, let's just get into the video. So you may be wondering why daily journal, and I'm going to tell you my personal opinions on why I think daily journaling is really beneficial to everyone and why I recommend that everybody do it. So for me, daily journaling is a complete outlet for me. It really lets me brain dump my feelings and my emotions and think through things that I'm feeling in that moment. It also helps me keep track of my mood day to day and lets me see that over time. For me, it's really therapeutic. I really enjoy it, and I've learned to enjoy it. There have been times when I've hated it, but there's ways to avoid that. And when I do enjoy it, it's just the highlight of my day. I look forward to daily journaling. Another thing is that if you daily journal and keep your old journals, then it will save your memories forever. I personally have a fear of time passing. It just really is my biggest mindfuck. And for me, I sort of started daily journaling because I didn't want that time to pass and have no way to keep it. So you can save memories forever if you daily journal. I hoard my journals after I fill them, and it's so satisfying filling journals and then going back and reading through all of it. One summer, it was my goal to fill an entire journal, and I did it, and I have those memories forever. The last point is sort of just a mesh of personal growth and reflection. So if you use your daily journal to reflect on life and past, present, and future things, then you'll be able to work through things that you've gone through, and you'll be able to see your personal growth physically. You can look at these journals and read from beginning to end and see how much you grew as a person, and I think that is an amazing thing to see. It is such a present to yourself. So now we're going to move on to the first steps that you need to do to daily journal. These are very simple, but they're very important. So the first step is trying to figure out what you want to do in a journal. You got to figure out what the purpose of your journal is going to be. So in this video, I'm touching more on daily journaling, like writing out like a diary, but there are so many kinds of journals that this can apply to. You can do a daily art journal, a daily sketchbook, a dream journal, a brain dump notebook. I have a brain dump notebook and I love that to death. Some people also have bullet journals that they use daily. The options are endless. And like I said, I'm going to be focusing mostly on writing journaling, but this will apply to any kind of journaling you want to do. So after you decide what kind of journaling you want to do, you can move on to finding a journal that you love. Finding a journal is really important because you need to love this journal. It needs to be practical for you. It needs to fit the needs of whatever kind of journaling you want to do. It's important that you love your journal because you want to look forward to opening it and writing in it or drawing in it, and you don't want to just despise the journal you're using. So let's say you use your favorite pen in a journal and it bleeds through the pages and it doesn't really work well. You're not going to want a daily journal. It's just not going to work out. But if you find a journal that you love and it works with your favorite pen or pencil or art supplies, then that's going to work out really well for you. Later, I will get into the supplies that I prefer and the exact journals that I use if you guys are interested in that. Next is finding supplies that you absolutely love. So I found a journal and a pen that I love so much that are my favorite things, and that is how I stick to daily journaling. That is what's gotten me through. I look forward to using the pen and I look forward to using the notebook just because they work cohesively so well together, and it just makes the process easier and more gratifying. If you're doing something like art-based, You want to find supplies that work with the journal you're using, that don't bleed through the pages. And if you have a good balance between the journal and the supplies, then it is just a happy, I don't know why I'm doing a heart, but it's just a happy, cohesive heart, I guess, and it just works out perfectly. But yeah, it's important that you love your supplies that you're using and your journal, because you want it to be as stress-free as possible and you want to love what you're doing. Now we're going to get to the fun part and the meat of this video, which is how to journal. And this is going to focus, like I said, more on the writing portion, but you can try to apply this to any kind of other journaling and just take away some tips from it. There will also be tips and tricks, and in the Q&A I will answer some questions about other kinds of journaling as well. So the first step in how to journal is get into the habit of it. And to get into the habit of it, you gotta find love in it. It cannot be a job to you. You just have to jump into it in the most practical way possible and make it simple for you, but really enjoyable, and it'll become easier and easier to do every day. So to keep up with the journal every day and make it a habit, like I said, don't make it a job, don't make it a hassle for yourself. Sometimes it just doesn't work out and you'll miss a day. That's fine. If you do miss a day, how I kept up that one summer that I journaled the entire summer, I would write a sticky note or in my phone, just a bulleted list of what I did that day so I could go back to it later in the day or the next day and fill it out. I did it that summer. I got like 14 days behind at points. And at that point, I suggest just skipping those days or just writing a bulleted list of what you did instead of writing out a whole journal for it. Writing previous days rather than the present is not as fun at all. It's sort of torturous. I still do it sometimes and I hate it. If you want to be really meticulous, you can journal every single day, but in reality, there are going to be days you have to skip or miss. Okay, so next, the way that I journal throughout the day is anytime I get a free moment, I write a little in my journal. I don't do the whole journal at the end of the day because that is just really inconvenient on days that you're super busy or days that you don't have enough time. So that just makes it much less probable that you'll journal every day if you do it solely at the end of the day. So what I do is anytime I get a free 20 minutes or sometimes even less, I'll start off my journal and then say, okay, I'll update later, and then come back to it later in the day and update again. And sometimes I'll update my journal 3 times in a day. Sometimes it'll be once, sometimes it'll be twice, sometimes it'll be 3 times. It just depends on the day, and it's okay to update your journal throughout the day rather than once in one big chunk. So now I'm going to tell you guys how I journal and like the format that I do it in. So I always start off my journal with how my day was. I just do a small paragraph that recaps the day. I say if it's been a good or bad day, productive or lazy, how I'm feeling overall that day, because I think that's important to have at the beginning, just like your current mood. How you think the day's been overall. You don't have to do it in this exact format, but that's just how I tend to start my journals. I don't really have a format for them. I'm just giving you guys sort of a gist of how I do it. So after the quick blurb about how the day's been, if it's been productive or not, and how I'm feeling, I'll get on to the day's events. And I begin describing my day so far. So I usually do this in paragraphs. I don't make it one long entry because I like it to be split up so it's easier to view. So I'll just describe what I did in chunks, like one part of the day, and then I'll go on to a new paragraph and say what I did later that day. If I switch topics, I'll switch paragraphs, just things like that. It's really up to you how descriptive you want to be. Journaling is so fluid and it has so many options that it's mind-blowing. It doesn't have to be this way or that way. You can make it however it works for you. You want it to be practical for you. The last thing that I want to add about how to journal, in something that'll make your journaling so much more rewarding for you, is talking about the past, the present, and the future. When you're reading this journal in the future, you won't only just see what you did that day, you'll also see your inner workings and your thoughts and feelings, and you'll see that reflection, and that will help you see your overall personal growth throughout. I'm sorry I'm using my hands so much, I'm just really passionate about this. I hope that I'm getting this point across well, but basically, reflection is key. Whether you're reflecting on the past, the present, or the future, reflection is so important to your journal and to personal growth in general. I didn't even think about this, but one of my good friends told me about reflection in his journal, and I immediately integrated it into my journal. It is not that easy at first, but once you get the hang of it, it is the most rewarding thing, I promise you. So now we're gonna move on to supplies that I personally use. You guys don't have to use this exact supplies, but I think that since I've been journaling for so long, this might be some top-notch recommendations for you guys, especially if you have no clue where to start. I hope that this will help you guys. So I'm going to talk about the notebooks that I use and then the types of materials that I use with each one. My 3 main journals are my art journal, my daily journal, and then my brain dump journal. And all of these are Moleskine notebooks. I absolutely love Moleskine notebooks. Moleskine notebooks can be pretty pricey, but they are so worth it. They're durable. The page quality is so nice if you get the right one, and I just always love Moleskine notebooks. And they're completely plain, so you can always decorate them if you want to. So this is the size of my brain dump notebook. This is the size of my daily journal notebook. And then this is the size of my art journal. And as you can see, they're drastically different sizes, but they are all Moleskine. For my daily journal and my brain dump, I have soft cover, and for my art journal, I have hard cover, but that's really up to you. I will leave the link for the sizes and the type of quality of paper inside down below for each one of these journals in case that you want to start one of these on your own. For my daily journal, I use the PaperMate Inkjoy Gel 0.7 gel pen, and this is a really specific pen that I have never tried out until 2 months ago. I've gone through 2 of these pens already in this notebook from filling it up. I tried another gel pen and it smeared all the time. This one does not smear at all, and it's just my favorite pen to write with. So that's my favorite for my daily journal. So for supplies for my brain dump notebook and art journal, I use Tombow dual brush pens, Faber-Castell Pitt artist pens, Micron fine liners, and then just as a recommendation, you can use midliners as well. They're highlighters that are, I think they're called zebra midliners. A lot of people use them, and I just wanted to recommend them because I've heard only good things about them. So that's it for supplies. I hope that I gave enough detail. I will link them all in the description for you guys. It's going to be a lot of links, but I promise you won't be disappointed. The website that I use to buy art supplies, if I don't buy it in person, is dickblick.com. They have any art supplies you can think of, and it is just a wholesale site, so you can buy specific colors, and you could buy mass amounts if you want to as well. And then I also go to Michael's, and I use Moleskine.com as well for the notebooks. So now I'm going to answer questions from my Instagrams. I asked on both my main and my art journal Instagram what you guys had questions about for daily journaling. If you guys want to be part of future Q&As or you just want to see what's going on with my life, make sure to follow the Instagrams on the screen or linked in the description below. This is more of a personal question, but how did you get into daily journaling? So basically, I've had this weird fear of growing up since I was little and losing time and losing memories. So ever since I was little, I've been hoarding my notebooks and writing down things and drawing just to keep them as memories. When I got a little bit older and read back on old diaries, I saw how important they were to me and how much I had grown as a person, and that just sparked this flame to try and journal for myself for the future. So right now I'm daily journaling not only for myself in the present, but for myself in the future as well. How many different journals do you use, and what is the purpose of each one? So I have a few main notebooks right now. I have a brain dump notebook, an art journal, a daily journal, and a sketchbook, and those are my 4 main journals. I use those pretty regularly, all 4 of those, and almost every day actually. And yeah, those are my main journals right now, and I keep all those, and then I will hoard them once they're all full. What do you write when you have nothing to say? So when I have nothing to say, I will either say, okay, I'll pick up later, or end the journal there, or I'll talk about something that has been on my mind that day, or something that stood out to me about the day. I might journal about something I'm grateful for, or journal about something that made me really upset that day, and journal about why, and ask myself why that upset me. So I sort of do some reflection, or I just end the journal when I have nothing more to say. Is it hard to keep doing a journal every day? Don't you lose motivation sometimes? I honestly never lose motivation to do my daily journal. The art journal, sometimes I do lose motivation and I have to find some inspiration, but for my daily journal, I do not lose inspiration ever, just because it is one of my favorite things to do. Because I got a pen that I love and a journal that I love, and I've done it for so long now, I absolutely love it, and I know how rewarding it'll be, so I just don't lose motivation for it. If you find a serious passion for it, you won't get unmotivated to do it. Sometimes I have too much to write and it takes me ages and ages to write it, which puts me off. So I'm guessing you're asking what to do if you have too much to write. Like I said, you guys can always do bulleted lists, and that'll make it much easier. I think having a lot to write is not a bad thing at all. If you don't have time and you have more to write, try to journal throughout the day instead of all at once, because if you do journal all at once, it can get boring and you can get tired of it, and then your journal sort of suffers. So if you're a person who has too much to journal if you're someone who has too much to journal usually, try journaling throughout the day so you have more time to write what you want to talk about, if that makes sense. How do you make time to write in your journal every day? So because it's a passion, I don't really make time to do it. I sort of look forward to it. But if you need to make time to do it, you can do it. You can wake up early and journal in the morning about the day before. You can journal during your lunch break or your work break, or you can journal on the bus, or find a nice place to sit when you get your morning coffee, journal. Or before bed is a popular time to journal because that's when it's the end of the day and you have your whole day already in your head, if that makes sense. I'm losing my voice, so it's getting harder to talk. Basically, if you want to make time to journal, like I said, I suggest journaling throughout the day, and that'll be the best way to get it done. Whenever you have free time, I carry my journal everywhere with me, just to make that clear. So when I have free time, I have free time to journal. I'm not just sitting there waiting on a plane. Even like on my plane rides and in the airport recently, I was journaling in the airport. I was journaling on the plane. I didn't care if people were staring at me. It's just, that's how I made time for it at that time. How much time every day do you spend daily journaling? So I spend, right now, since I don't have as much to do and it's summer, I spend probably an hour a day daily journaling. I'm really in depth because I really, really like it and I have the time to do it right now. But when I don't have time and I have a full busy schedule, I usually take about 30-45 minutes to daily journal. During the school year, instead of doing it at night, I'm going to do it throughout the day, and I'll probably have more time to daily journal. But as of now, it's probably about an hour a day, and when I have full schedule and I'm working and going to school, it's about 45 minutes a day to 30 minutes. And sometimes it's even 20 minutes if I'm really tired. What's your favorite part about daily journaling? So I love a lot of things about daily journaling, but the most rewarding part has to be looking back at it in the future, reflecting on things. I figured out a lot of things about myself and about the future and the past just from daily journaling. So I think that's why it motivates me so much, because I have figured out so much about myself through daily journaling. What the hell do you write in it? I love this question. I write about, like I said, I generally recap how the day was, how I'm feeling, and then I write everything that I did that day, and I'll throw in little details of how I felt when I was doing a certain thing, or something that, maybe a smell that reminded me of something else. So mainly it's to write about what I did that day, but I also throw in a lot of reflection and a lot of personal talk and what's going on in my brain too, just to make it more interesting and more fulfilling. Okay, so the question is about how long is each daily entry. So like I said, right now I have a lot of time, and that means that I have a lot more pages to write than you might have, just because you might not have as much time as I do right now. I have plenty of free time right now. So when I started this journal, which is this big, I had basically a page front and back for every single journal. And then once I got more in the hang of it, I have 3 pages front and back for each journal, just because I got more in the swing of writing and I could think of more to write about. So it might start off really short. You might use half a page, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the more you'll be able to write depending on if you want to. Somebody asked how to start their journal, and how I start this journal is I wrote a page that was called What's This Journal? And I always start my journals with something like this just to say the purpose of it. So I wrote, this will be a daily catalog of my life, hopefully daily at least. I plan on using this for logging memories and reflecting on my life in order to grow as a person. I believe that reflection is important for personal growth and learning more about yourself. Overall, reflection is just pivotal for any and all aspects of your life. It's so important. Lastly, as I have mentioned in my other journals, I have this deep fear and unease about the passing of time. I hate that it is out of my control, yet such a big factor of life. I also hate that it's somewhat of a mystery. Is it just a human construct? Is it linear? Can it be manipulated? These questions haunt me. This journal will begin summer 19. I'm currently 20 years old, wow, and will be a junior in college this year. Let's begin filling yet another journal. Actually, I said, let's begin filling yet another journal, my dude. Good luck. And I signed it my name. So basically, that's how I start my journals. I give a little tidbit of what I did. I didn't have to read like the whole beginning of my journal, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what I wrote and how I started my journal and sort of how I talk to myself in my journal. Brooke asked how to stay consistent, and she's another YouTuber here on YouTube. I'll put her YouTube in the description. But basically, the way that I stay consistent is you have to make it practical for your lifestyle. Don't tell yourself that you're gonna journal every single day if some days you literally know you will have zero time. You can still call it a daily journal if you daily journal like most of the time. What I'm trying to say is you basically just have to make it fit your lifestyle, and it'll become so much easier than forcing it upon yourself. If you make it work around your lifestyle, you'll naturally find time to do it and you'll enjoy doing it. Motivation. I tried to do this, but I didn't have any motivation. So you're asking for motivation to actually start, not motivation to keep up with it. So my advice is, which I've reiterated a lot of times in this video, is that if you're lacking motivation to start, just try to start small and tell yourself how rewarding it'll be in the future. For me, starting was hard too, but I knew that looking back at my old journals just gave me so much joy, and it was so worth it for me to start another one. I'm telling you now that keeping a journal is so rewarding, and your future self will thank you if you keep a journal, and you can use this as your motivation if you want to, but that's what motivates me, is knowing that my future self will have memories to look back on forever. Okay guys, that is it for this video. That was all the questions. This is going to be such a long video, and if you made it to the end, comment down below your favorite emoji and something you learned in this video. I love that you guys were so excited about daily journaling, and I hope that you guys loved this video and got something from it. I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope that I helped you in any kind of way possible. I will see you guys next week in another video. Peace out, guys.